The Galactic Council chambers fell silent as Ambassador Neha stepped forward, her dark eyes reflecting the cold light of distant stars through the massive viewport. Around the circular hall, representatives from 47 species watched with barely concealed contempt as she approached the central podium. "The humans request a formal hearing," announced Chancellor Vexthul, his crystalline voice echoing through the chamber. The Xanthari leader's forearms gestured dismissively. "Though I fail to see why we should waste time on such a primitive request." Neha's jaw tightened, but her voice remained steady. "The Terran Federation seeks only peaceful coexistence and trade agreements with your respective worlds." A harsh chittering arose from the insectoid delegation. High Matriarch Zekka's mandibles clicked in what passed for laughter among her kind. "Peace? From a species that still wages war among themselves? Your own historical records show nothing but conflict, thousands of years of bloodshed." "That is precisely why we understand its true cost," Neha replied. But the Council had already made their decision. Within hours, humanity was branded as too dangerous for galactic society, their applications rejected, their ships turned away from civilized space. 3 months later, Captain Adnan Malik received the transmission while conducting routine patrols along the outer rim. His weathered face, marked by years of service in the Terran Defense Corps, hardened as he absorbed the message. "Sir," his communications officer called out, "we're receiving a distress signal. Multiple signatures. It's the entire Xanthari merchant fleet in the Kepler system." Adnan studied the tactical display. 47 cargo vessels, all civilian, under attack by what appeared to be a massive dreadnought of unknown design. The attacking ship was 3 times the size of anything in human space, its hull crackling with energy weapons that tore through Xanthari shields like paper. "Orders, Captain?" asked Lieutenant Commander Sarah Chen, his tactical officer. Adnan remembered the Council's rejection, the sneering contempt in their alien faces. He thought of Neha, still working tirelessly in diplomatic channels despite the humiliation. The smart move would be to turn away, to let the civilized galaxy handle its own problems. Instead, he said, "Battle stations. All hands to combat positions." The bridge crew exchanged glances but complied without question. The TDS Retribution was old by Terran standards, a heavy cruiser from the Mars Rebellion era, but she was solid and her crew knew their business. "Sir, that's a Devourer's dreadnought," Chen reported, her voice tight. "Long-range scans show it's already destroyed 6 Xanthari vessels. Intelligence says their shields can withstand anything in the known galaxy." "Good thing we're not from the known galaxy," Adnan replied grimly. "Target their engine clusters. Load the railguns with depleted uranium rounds." What the galaxy didn't understand about humanity was simple. They had never truly seen humans at war. The conflicts in their databases were internal struggles, civil wars, skirmishes between nations on a single world. But humans in true combat, fighting not for territory or resources but for survival itself. That was something else entirely. The Retribution dropped out of hyperspace like a meteor, engines screaming as Adnan brought her in at an impossible angle. The Devourer vessel, massive and confident, barely registered the single human ship as a threat. That was their mistake. Adnan's ship danced through space with a grace that defied her bulk, his crew working in perfect synchronization. Every human aboard had been shaped by millennia of warfare, their instincts honed by countless generations who survived because they could outfight anything that threatened them. "Firing solution locked," Chen reported. "Fire." The railgun spoke with the voice of thunder. Rounds accelerated to a significant fraction of light speed slammed into the Devourer's shields, and something impossible happened. They buckled. Not because the weapons were particularly exotic, but because they hit with the focused fury of a species that had learned to turn the very atoms of matter into weapons. The alien dreadnought wheeled around, bringing its massive guns to bear. Energy beams that could crack moons reached out for the human vessel. They found empty space. Adnan had already moved, his ship weaving through the cosmos like a fighter rather than a cruiser. His ancestors had fought in the skies above Earth, when aircraft were made of wood and canvas. They had battled in the void when their ships were barely more than pressurized cans with rockets. Every lesson, every hard-won victory, every desperate last stand was encoded in human DNA. "Their targeting systems can't track us," reported the sensor operator, amazement in her voice. They're designed to fight predictable opponents, Adnan explained, bringing the ship around for another pass. Civilized opponents who follow accepted tactical doctrine. The second volley penetrated deeper, and the Devourer's hull began to glow with internal fires. Around them, the surviving Zenthari vessels fled in terror, unable to comprehend what they were witnessing. But the real shock came when the Devourer's shields finally collapsed entirely. The alien crew, faced with a human opponent for the first time, made a fatal error. They tried to ram the smaller ship, certain their mass advantage would win the day. Adnan smiled grimly and did something no civilized captain would ever attempt. He accelerated directly toward the enemy vessel, waiting until the last possible second before firing his engines at maximum burn and sliding beneath their hull. The Retribution's point defense systems, designed to handle swarms of missiles, instead focused their fire on a single point of the enemy's armor, hundreds of smaller guns speaking as one. They carved through the alien hull like a hot knife through butter. The Devourer dreadnought, terror of the galaxy, died not to superior technology, but to the sheer audacity of a species that had been fighting for its survival since before it could walk upright. Hours later, as rescue ships arrived to tend to the surviving Zenthari, Ambassador Neha received an unexpected transmission. Chancellor Vexthul appeared on her screen, his crystalline features showing something she had never seen before: fear. "Ambassador," he began, his voice lacking its usual arrogance. "The Council, we may have been hasty in our judgment. Your Captain Malik single-handedly destroyed a Devourer dreadnought that has been terrorizing this sector for months." Neha leaned back in her chair, allowing herself a small smile. "Captain Malik is a good officer, but hardly exceptional by human standards. We have millions like him." The alien's forearms trembled slightly. "The Council would like to reconsider your applications for membership." "That's very generous," Neha replied calmly. "But I'm afraid our position has changed. You see, we've received similar requests from 17 other species in the past week. It seems word travels fast when humans defend civilians from raiders." She paused, letting the implications sink in. "Humanity is no longer seeking to join your galactic community, Chancellor. We're building our own, and anyone who values courage over prejudice, action over politics, is welcome to apply for membership in the Terran Alliance." The transmission ended, leaving Neha alone with her thoughts. Outside her viewport, she could see the lights of the first alien diplomatic vessels arriving at Luna Station, their crews eager to meet the species they had so gravely underestimated. Humanity had not sought war, but when war found the innocent, they had answered with the fury of gods awakened from their slumber. The galaxy was learning, perhaps too late, that the most dangerous humans were not those who sought conquest but those who fought to protect others. And in the depths of space, Captain Adnan Malik continued his patrol, one among millions of guardians who stood ready to remind the universe that humanity's greatest weapon was not their technology, but their unwillingness to let evil triumph while they drew breath. The dormant gods of war had awakened, and the galaxy would never be the same.